Good afternoon and welcome to From Where We Are, stories of news and culture through the lens of USC and Southern California. I'm Jeanette Fu, coming to you live from Studio B in USC's Annenberg Media Center.
And I'm Amy Lopez. It's Tuesday, April 22nd. On today's show, we visit a plant nursery in South Los Angeles, and Annenberg Media reports from Rome on the aftermath of the Pope's passing. All that and more from Where We Are. For the first time since the pandemic, on May 5th, the federal government will resume involuntary collections for student loan borrowers. Students who have missed payments for 270 days or more will see loan holders taking money from paychecks, tax refunds, Social Security benefits, and more federal payments. All borrowers in default will be sent an email over the next 2 weeks informing them of their status. AP News reported over 5 million people are in default and over 40 million Americans have student debt. Less than 40% of borrowers are current on their student loans, department officials said. There are programs that can lessen the burden, but many have been paused or threatened by the Trump administration. One such program created by the Biden administration is the Saving on a Valuable Education Plan. This program would base monthly bills on the borrower's income, and its legality is currently being discussed by the courts. One way to get out of the default is to get into the loan rehabilitation. This is where they can create a payment plan with their servicer and pay that consistently for 9 months and be taken out of the default. This is something a person can only do once.
To celebrate Earth Day, Metrolink will allow riders to get any of their trains for free. This is the 4th year in a row that Metrolink has provided this service. Metrolink can take riders as far north as Lancaster and as south as Oceanside. They have even compiled a list of places they recommend riders to see, so hop on, no ticket required.
The president has made it quite clear that it's Harvard who has put themselves in the position to lose their own funding by not obeying federal law.
Harvard has filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration for allegedly violating the First Amendment. Harvard is arguing that the government has violated the amendment by freezing more than $2.2 billion in federal funding. The university claims that the White House is trying to control Harvard, while President Trump has framed it as a fight against anti-Semitism. Harvard lawyers said the government is threatening Harvard's academic independence and is punishing Harvard for protecting its constitutional rights. Harvard's lawsuit claims that the Trump administration has failed to establish a tie between the funding cuts and fighting anti-Semitism.
The Department of Government Efficiency, known as DOGE, has received permissions to access a Justice Department system, the Washington Post reported. This system has the address and the case history of millions of immigrants, including undocumented ones. The system is meant to store records of any immigrant who has interacted with the U.S. immigration system. DOGE has previously had the Social Security Administration list living immigrants as dead to make them self-deport, despite objections from staff. DOGE's tactics have alarmed legal experts and federal employees.
In China, more than 20 two-legged robots ran a half marathon against 1,200 humans over the weekend. The robots lost by a significant margin. The first robot to cross the finish line did so in 1 hour and 38 minutes after the winner of the men's race. The 13-mile race allowed for robots to change batteries much like a human would need water. The winning robot switched batteries 3 times. A helper ran alongside it in case the robot fell. It was quite a sight to runners who faced no difficulty keeping up, taking photos of their encounters with the androids.
On a busy street in South Los Angeles stands a jungle of greenery, Avalon Nursery and ceramics. In this sound portrait, we'll hear from owner Maria Luz Lopez, who owned it 37 years ago, and her granddaughter Carolina Ramirez, who joined her more recently. They've seen the city change, but the nursery has stayed strong.
My name is Carolina Ramirez.
María de la Luz López. Se llama Ávalo Nursery en Ceramics. Abrimos el 28 de junio de 1987.
We are probably one of the last remaining nurseries in South LA. I am Doña Luz's first granddaughter. I help her here on my free time. Usually I'm here more in the summer times and on the weekends. With the changing demographic of the neighborhood, we're seeing a lot more people that are moving in that need English speakers more. Like, we were able to survive for a long time with just speaking Spanish here, but now things are slowly changing, and that's a good thing. We welcome diversity here.
Me ayudas con los clientes que hablan inglés y yo puedo explicar muy poco, tal vez corto, no les doy bien la información. Bueno, trato, pero ¿y qué tal que no me entienden bien?
While I was here, I realized that I didn't know too many, like, customers were asking me questions and I didn't know how to answer them in a scientific way. I only had experience and that could only get you so far, right? So I made the decision to go back to school and get my degree in plant science. And ever since then, now that I help her more here, I am able to answer customers' questions with more knowledge than I was 5 years ago. This is a Haas avocado. By the way, they do really well here in Southern California. Customer service here has been our priority, and we are very prideful in building relationships. So when people are thinking about plants, or anything about their garden or any issue with their plant, the first thing that comes to mind is us.
Ya nos hicimos viejitos, los clientes y yo. Ya hay clientes nuevos, pero sí, todavía de los nietos están viniendo, de los nietos de los abuelitos. Pues sí, la parentela sigue viniendo, reconocen el lugar, gracias a Dios.
There's a middle school up the street, so there's always been students here. Many of them have told me that their parents used to make them walk here to get picked up here because sometimes they'll be running late and they felt more safe being here.
Quisiera tener el tiempo para trabajar los 7 días de la semana.
My grandmother's joy is walking to the nursery every day. Like, she walks here to her plants, to her customers, to her clients. That's very simple life, but that's the biggest joy for her.
Me siento acompañada con mi nieta y pues sí, le agradezco mucho a ella también lo que ha hecho por mí.
Oh, I'm just gonna get a teary eye.
The death of Pope Francis was announced yesterday morning by the Vatican Church in Rome. With his passing began a series of rites and rituals that accompany the passing of a Roman Catholic pope and the eventual selection of a new pope. Anna Virgin has the story.
Pope Francis died early Monday morning at the age of 88. According to tradition, a 9-day period of mourning has begun, and by the end of this month, Roman Catholic cardinals will have at least begun the process of selecting his successor. The Pope's body has been lying in state in the Vatican chapel of Casa Santa Marta, his former residence. Tomorrow, his coffin will be transferred to St. Peter's Basilica. His funeral will take place Saturday and is expected to be attended by tens of thousands of mourners. Pope Francis will be buried in another church in Rome, the Basilica of St. Mary Major, according to his wishes. Finally, cardinals from all over the world will gather at the Vatican to begin the election process for a new pope. According to tradition, the cardinals are expected to elect a new pope within 15 to 20 days. Sean Patrick Lovett, who is the former head of English communications of the Vatican, shares what the atmosphere will be like for the next month.
So there really is an emptiness, there's a void, there's a great sense of silence. And I think that's what the 9 days of mourning are for. It's really a sense of quiet, just to think and reflect on what this man's legacy is.
Tourists have traveled from all over the world to come to Rome and pay their respects to Pope Francis.
New Jersey local Diane Schulman was on a scheduled tour through Europe when the news broke.
This is our first day touring, really, because last night we just got in and we came and went to the church and it was beautiful. So yeah, we kind of feel like we're part of history here.
Michel Versteeg traveled to Rome from the Netherlands with his wife. They came to the Vatican for Easter Mass and were still in Rome the next day.
We heard the news that the Pope passed, and it hit us. We wanted to be at the spot where it all happened, and we felt drawn again today to come back.
Versteeg was last in Rome 10 years ago, but his experience this time is very different.
There's just so many people around here, but in a way it's also a shared feeling between all the people in the morning together. It makes it special to be here with all those people.
As the size of crowds around the Vatican continues to grow, the Vatican has increased its security. However, for mourner Rosemary Miranda, who's originally from Bolivia, the crowds are not her initial focus.
I mean, I didn't put much attention about that because it was more like being here.
Lovett says the Vatican, including St. Peter's Basilica, remains open to visitors. As cardinals from all around the globe prepare to begin the election process, Lovett believes the choice they make will reflect the world today.
The Pope is not just a figurehead for the Catholic Church. He's a voice of reason in a very unreasonable and chaotic world. So whoever they choose is important, because what that voice says, what that person represents, will have repercussions for the world in which we live in right now.
Lovett added that it's not a matter of politics, but the right fit.
So it's not a question of left or right, conservative, progressive. It's a question of who is the right person at this moment in our history, at this moment in a very divided and very confused world.
For Annenberg Media, I'm Anna Fergine.
I'm Amy Lopez. We're glad you're with us for From Where We Are.
And I'm Jeanette Fu. It's 37 minutes past the hour. Coming up, we sit down with a newly elected undergraduate student leader on the organization's efforts to support undocumented students at USC. Around 100 people rallied in downtown Los Angeles this afternoon to call for the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was wrongly deported and sent to El Salvador prison by the Trump administration. John Millsap has the story.
The rally was held by the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor, an umbrella organization of around 300 unions. People in yellow vests stood in front of the Federal Building in North Los Angeles Street, holding signs that read, "Bring our union siblings home." Abrego Garcia himself is a union member and worked in construction. In March, Abrego Garcia was deported after the White House accused him of being a member of MS-13, a Salvadorian gang that the U.S. has labeled as a foreign terrorist organization. His family has denied any such involvement, and Abrego Garcia does not have a criminal record. In 2019, a judge ordered that he not be deported to his native El Salvador. U.S. officials admitted after he was deported recently that they'd made a so-called administrative error in doing so. A federal judge has ordered that Abrego Garcia be brought back to the United States. But Trump administration officials have not complied thus far, stating they have no business for his return. At the rally, Labor Federation Press Secretary Crystal Romero said the organization demands due process for Abrego Garcia.
They've now resorted to snatching people off the street. So our movement is united, and we are not for the injustice that's taking place today.
Romero also said the Federation has begun outreach amid President Trump's new immigration policies by providing Know Your Rights trainings to its members.
Folks are becoming a little bit more braver and bolder and staying up and saying something. So today was really important to show folks in our movement that we are here, we're standing up, and we do have rights, even if the Trump administration doesn't think so.
A myriad of officials have called for Abrego Garcia's release. Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland traveled to El Salvador and met with him in the prison last Thursday. 4 House Democrats also traveled to the country to investigate his condition. Representatives Yasaman Ansari of Arizona, Maxine Dexter of Oregon, Maxwell Frost of Florida, and Robert Garcia of California arrived in the Central American nation Sunday. For union members like Luis Arita, advocating for Abrego Garcia's return means showing up for family.
Imagine somebody taking somebody from your family and illegally just disappearing from your life. That's how much it hits us. It's important to us. We want our family here with us. This man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, here legally, green card, working, a first-year apprentice. He needs to come home. He's one of us.
Arita said he fears even his own status as a U.S. citizen has become irrelevant to his government.
I have a fear that I could be pulled over and detained illegally and sent somewhere without my consent. We just don't know. So we need to stand up for all of our folks and protect each other.
An injury to one! An injury to one! Bring Kilmar home now! But it's not enough to yell it out here.
For Annenberg Media, that was John Millsap.
Here at USC, the Undocumented Trojan Student Assembly continues to change. As the political climate for undocumented students changes radically, 2 new student directors are coming in the next fall to lead the Undocumented Trojan Student Assembly known as UTSA. The group used to be known as IDEAS. One of the new leaders, Haiti Vasquez, tells us about her vision for UTSA going forward. To support the undocumented students on our campus, Vasquez spoke with Isaac Vargas.
My understanding is the plan is to move a little bit from an advocacy-based group to a community-focused group.
Yeah.
But could you shine some light on sort of what that means and sort of what that will look like for you guys moving forward?
We want to make sure we're prioritizing our undocumented applicants and making sure we're providing them with that security that if you join, there's still going to be that confidentiality and that everything's safe with us. I recall when I first joined IDEAS, I was so happy. I mean, I found people that share that similar experience, and I was able to just say one word, and I didn't have to clarify. I want to make sure that that same feeling that I had when I joined IDEAS and when I joined is for every other freshman that wants to join UTSA, for every transfer student that wants to join UTSA.
Does this time feel similar to past years, or does it? You mentioned like all eyes are on you guys.
Yeah.
Does it feel similar to past, or does this kind of feel very much different than previous work you've done?
Yeah, it feels very different. I remember, I had joined UTSA's last IDEAS when I was a freshman, and there was never eyes on us. This year and last year was truly where we saw that people were starting to recognize that we're here and that there's a club and that, they were viewing it less political and more like these are our students. These are students who built an organization to provide that security and community. So it's been a shift. I mean, my freshman year, it was just like an e-board of like 10 people, and now there's like 21 people. And we have like 50 general members. So we have definitely grown.
Or are there efforts as well to reach the larger LA community? I mean, I know that's a tall task, but I guess I'm curious like how that plays out for you guys in your mind.
As UTSA, we've gone to like panels around the LA area to reach students who potentially are undocumented and be like, hey, like, look at us, we're here as well. And I know you're a prospect applicant to USC, and just letting you know that if you get admitted, that there's people, there's like a community behind you.
I just want to ask you, like, to close off, like, who are some heroes or folks that you're kind of looking up to as North Stars, whether this be in your personal life, in your professional life, just any folks that like you're kind of just viewing and following and maybe modeling your leadership after, especially during a very challenging time in our real world?
Yeah, what a lovely question. Yeah, I mean, I feel that's what keeps me motivated throughout all of this. It's not like necessarily one person, but I think it's just my community. I think we're such a small community on every college campuses across the nation. So, and also just like, I think it's a very emotional thing to go through. So I just always look back at my community, and I look at people who have been directly impacted. And I just also look at myself when I was filling out DACA and stuff like that. And I just look at everyone who surrounds this community who is a part of it. And I just know that we're so resilient. And that's what's really the backbone to everything that I do.
Haiti Vasquez is one of 2 incoming directors of the Undocumented Trojan Student Assembly. Her term begins this fall. Last week, we spoke with the outgoing director of UTSA. You can listen to that interview on our website, annenbergmedia.com. Our Plant Nursery sound portrait was produced by Kimberly Aguirre. And that's all the time we have today From Where We Are. Isaac Vargas and I, Amy Lopez, produced today's show. We had help from Alyssa Picatello, David Rendon, and Caitlin Renholm.
Our board operator is Jaden Frank, our live stream manager is Sela Felkins, and Derek Renfro composed our theme music.
Catch us live on YouTube at Annenberg Radio News, Monday through Thursday at 5 p.m. Subscribe to For More We Are wherever you're listening right now. Finally, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Annenberg Radio. I'm Amy Lopez.
And I'm Jeanette Fu. From all of us at Annenberg Radio, wherever you are, we hope you'll join us again for
From Where We Are. Woo! So, Jeanette, have you seen the new Sinners movie out right now?
I have not. What's it about?
Okay, so it's directed by Ryan Coogler, who's a USC alum, kind of like our film guy, you know. It is a horror vampire in the South type movie. It's blowing up. People are saying it's the best original movie in the year. Do you like horror at all?
Yeah, I dabble in horror a little bit. I've been recently watching Black Mirror, which is more dystopian than horror, but I'm really liking it. How about you?
No, I love Black Mirror. I especially love Bandersnatch. My celebrity crush Will Poulter's in that movie. But yeah, Black Mirror is a really good dystopian horror, and the new season came out. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening in.